Hi, this is Joseph Williams, son of John Williams, and you are watching the Nerf Herder Council.
What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Nerf Herder Council. I am your host, JT. We are live on Facebook and YouTube. We are live at those two locations every other Wednesday at 8:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you are watching on YouTube, please don't forget to click that like button and click that subscribe button and smash that notification bell so that you get notified every single time we go live. We are brought to you by Audible. Go to audibletrial.com/NHC for your 30-day trial and a free audiobook download. If you would like to get customizable Nerf Herder Council swag, just go to shop.nerfherdercouncil.com. If you'd like to catch video replays of the show, they're all available on our YouTube channel, and you can always download the audio version of the show on whatever podcast platform you are a fan of. So, this is going to be a fun episode for me because I always enjoy our In Defense Of episodes. I get to talk about a movie that I love that I think a lot of people don't. And I actually have a guest host coming on tonight. AJ got roped into a work trip to Paris. So he's somewhere off in Europe doing work stuff. And I'm here talking Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull with a very good friend of mine from my Dream Theater podcast, Talking Into Infinity, my good friend Sean Faust. What's going on, man? Thanks for coming on short notice. I appreciate it.
Hey, well, thanks for having me. Thank you for the invite. And I'm glad that we get to tell all of the haters of this movie just how incredibly incorrect that they are.
That's the whole point of the In Defense Of episodes. It's like, all right, you don't like this movie? Well, let me tell you why you're wrong. And I don't get interrupted by people trying to make their points because I don't want to hear their point unless their point is, yeah, you're right. This movie is awesome. So real quick, since you are a music guy, much more musical than I am. So real quick music note, and then we'll jump into talking about Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. But this is how ignorant I am. I'm known for being closed-minded. I don't mean to be. When I listen to music, like things just go over my head and I don't get into certain things. Well, lately I've been going down a Steve Lukather rabbit hole because I downloaded the audiobook of his autobiography. So I'm learning all about his career in Toto and stuff like that. And I don't know if you were paying attention during our intro, but Joseph Williams, that guy that's in our intro, he is the lead singer of Toto.
Yep. And
I knew that when our good buddy Aiken got us that ID. But me being ignorant to the way that I am, I was like, oh, this guy's John Williams' son. Like John Williams is his dad. Now that I'm going down the Lukather rabbit hole, I'm like, you goddamn fool. Like, that's way bigger. Like, Toto is much more important than,
Have you seen Steve Lukather live?
On videos, yeah.
I saw him with Ringo Starr's band, and that evening he became one of my top 5 favorite guitar players of all time.
He's insane.
He's all over Derek Sherinian's stuff, too.
Yeah.
But this is not the Dream Theater show. So.
No, true. Yeah, no, real quick. Toto's coming here pretty soon, and I'm actually considering, I don't know many songs. I really don't care. I might just buy a ticket just to go watch Lukather play. So I have not decided yet, but.
Do it. Just to watch Lukather play, honestly. That's it.
That's what dude, it's so worth it seeing these guys live at least once if you're like a fan. So I may break down and just, last second go grab a ticket, just a single and go watch. So, but as you said, this is not the music show, so we are on the nerd show. I am really glad that you are on the same page with me about this film because this is obviously of the 4, soon to be 5, Indiana Jones films. This is obviously the redheaded stepchild of the bunch. And starting out, I was a big fan of this movie when it came out. I thought it was great, and I know that it immediately started catching crap, but I don't know about you. I was immediately a fan of it, and the reason is it's Indiana Jones. So, I mean, we'll get into the reasons people don't like it and why we do like it, but to me, I've always liked it. And I mean, can you pick it apart here and there? Yeah, you can pick it apart, sure. But I just think it's a fun movie, and I've always been a fan of it. So, I mean, for you, did you start out liking the movie, or is this one you didn't like and then it grew on you, or what's your history with the movie?
Midnight showing, baby. I went to the midnight showing. My buddy went, and his parents were like, "Why are you going to a midnight showing?" He's like, "Because Sean can't wait." And that's pretty much what it boiled down to. I couldn't wait. And within 5 minutes, I was in love with the movie. So is the CGI a little sure? Like, do the sets look like they're obviously sets and not like great locations like the others? Sure. Is it an Indiana Jones movie that's a lot of fun? Hell yes.
Yeah. I mean, I mean, let's start there. I mean, you mentioned because I can see the quote unquote flaws that other people have seen. So I'm not discrediting them, but I mean, the CG in spots. Yeah, I get that, but I always look at these sorts of things as like a product of the times. Like, if they were to do it today, it would obviously be better. But I didn't have a problem with it, and certain things were so grandiose and over the top that was the only way they could do it. So,
Yeah, I mean, look at it like this. We all loved Force Awakens when it came out. Why? Because it went back to the days of practical effects for the most part, right? Crystal Skull, the CGI isn't as good as CGI in other movies from that time period. Doesn't make it bad, doesn't make it crappy. That shot of him walking up the hill to the mushroom cloud is gorgeous. It's absolutely beautiful. And I'm going to go on a rant about the nuking the fridge thing in a bit. But I mean, for an Indiana Jones movie, think of it too, like they're B movies, right? That's what they're all based on B movies. The fact that Raiders is a perfect film is an accident at worst, and it's a fluke at best. Okay, this one maybe the CGI is not as good because it's a B movie, it's a serial, or maybe it's just more went into the actual production of the film. Doesn't matter. It's an Indiana Jones movie. It's fun. It could be. You said it's the redheaded stepchild. I still think Temple of Doom might hold that title.
Well, see, I would disagree with that because anytime you bring up Crystal Skull, people are like, ugh, or that sucks. But if you bring up Temple of Doom, people are like, yeah, I like Raiders and Last Crusade better. It's the only people that I know that really have actively disliked Temple of Doom are my parents because huge fans of the original, and then Temple was so dark and in color and in theme and everything, and it was like they just didn't like it. And then especially when they compare it against Last Crusade, they're just like, yeah, Temple of Doom is all the other indie fans I know though, they like Temple of Doom. I mean, it's obviously in third place, but they like it. It's I don't find people having a problem with it the way they do Crystal Skull.
Most people that don't like Crystal Skull, though, I think because everybody wants to be part of the crowd. Everybody wants to be like, oh yeah, I'm just going to agree with what everybody else says. A lot of people that hate it are probably like, I don't want to get too crazy here, but they're probably like those Bible thumpers. They're like, well, that guy at the pulpit said this, Bible said this, so I'm going to say the Bible says this. So it's the same thing too with like Crystal Skull. It's
right.
like, oh, Crystal Skull sucked. Well, did you see it? No, but I heard it sucked. Well, how do you know?
Yeah.
I do this stupid thing called like forming my own opinion, and I know it's really weird, and I should be shot for it. But these people that don't like Crystal Skull for the most part, just it's probably the overall look, and the nuking the fridge thing. I don't know why that's a thing. I don't know why nuking the fridge is an issue.
So you and I are, we've talked about this off air. That's how we came up with the idea for this episode. I don't have a problem. Neither of us has a problem with the whole nuking the fridge thing. It's like, I've never like. Again, some of the things that they do in the movie are over the top, and I get it. Like some of it, I guess I watched it, twice in the last 2 days, and I'm very familiar with it, but I just wanted to refresh my memory. And as I'm watching, I'm like, okay, like some of the Indiana Jonesy moments are a little too much Indiana Jonesy, I guess, if you want to say, like they're a little extreme. But that's
example, please. Give me an example of too extreme for Indiana Jones.
Okay, like the refrigerator, like getting blown up in a refrigerator, like surviving a nuclear explosion. Even like when he gets shot at. There's several instances in the movie when the bad guys are like 30 feet away and missing wildly like stormtroopers, and it's like, so I mean, I understand that it's even for an Indiana Jones movie, some of the bits are a little over the top, but it's like,
I got to interrupt you, and I'm sorry to do this, but like, there's only one time in all 4 movies that he actually got shot, and that was point blank range by a Nazi while he was driving the truck. The guy shoots him in the arm.
Yeah.
And then that's the only time he ever got shot. And then he got punched in that same spot. That sucks. Glad that guy got run over by the truck.
Yeah.
Not that I've ever been shot in the arm and then punched in that spot, but it just...
I'm saying, yeah, well, wait, personal experience. Hold on. Tell the story.
It looked like it hurt Indy a lot, and Icon, as the audience member, was like, ooh, that hurts. I hope he doesn't throw him out the window. Oh, he did.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I could see why people think it's a little over the top in areas. You know, people complain about the monkey bit, and
all right, that part's stupid.
But you know what? It is what it is. I mean, if you look at it, like Mutt is his kid, so he's gonna do. You know, it's in his DNA to do these crazy things and to survive and all that, I suppose. But I just think that, you know, I mean, the fridge thing is like the ultimate Indiana Jones moment, right? Like it's the ultimate. Okay, like how is Indiana Jones going to survive like a friggin', you know, like a bomb test? It's like, okay, well, lead-lined refrigerator. Okay,
right.
You know, like that's hilarious because I wonder. I've often wondered about that if they wrote the bomb thing in and they were like, okay, that's really cool. Oh crap, how is he going to get out of it? And then, you know, them being like children of the 50s, they know, oh, lead-lined refrigerator.
Funny you should ask that. The original idea for Doc Brown's time machine was, in fact, a lead-lined refrigerator. And it was going to blow up in a nuclear explosion. And so years later, Crystal Skull, Spielberg's like, you know what? That was actually a pretty cool story point. Let's get. I'm not even kidding you. So yeah, they brought back the fridge that traveled. Look, you know, everybody's saying that scene is silly and like it's the new jumping the shark. F you and your families for raising an idiot. Okay, a guy can get his heart ripped out and still be like yum num shiva, yum num shiva. Like within minutes of his heart being ripped out, it doesn't work that way. Okay, a guy's face can melt, another guy can just turn to rubber and implode, another guy's head explodes. I mean, how about a guy like, oh man, I'm really thirsty right now. Let me drink some water. Holy Christ, I'm getting older. Like it's but oh no, something like an urban legend of like a lead-lined refrigerator we can't have some fun with. Can't have aliens. I'm sorry, interdimensional beings going to the spaces between spaces, but. God can save the day. The Hindu God can save the day. The God of Abraham can save the day. But, oh, no. It's a 50s sci-fi flick. Yeah. Deal with it, folks.
Mine cars making jumps over and landing miraculously perfectly on the tracks to keep I mean, yeah, it's just to me, it's just like more Indiana Jones. It's what you come to expect. And,
exactly.
You know, I think, you know, in understanding why people don't get into it, you know, like I say, some of the moments are more Indiana Jones. And again, you brought up the CG. And I think that personally to me, the CG is fine. But you know what I think kind of does it in is like, you also said that you can tell when they're on a physical set as opposed to, you know, and like a on a sound stage, you know, like for example, I think the perfect example of that is in the jungle when they're in the Russian camp in the jungle. Like that looks like you're going through like the fake plant section at Target, you know what I mean? Like, but I think that, you know, what does that are those damn digital cameras, because they're filming it the same way. Cause a lot of the stuff in the prior movies were done on a soundstage as well, but the cameras weren't as, you know, super high def. So it kind of washes and everything blends together nicely. Whereas with these high def digital cameras, you could see every little detail and it just looked too fake. You know, I mean, it's kind of like the example that I use. I always notice this is like if you go and watch like the DVD versions of the Star Wars prequels, you know, the CG blends in beautifully with the actual, you know, human characters and whatnot and the backgrounds and everything. But when the Blu-ray came out and it's all cleaned up and perfect, like you can really see the separation. Mm-hmm. So, and I think that's the case with this. I mean, if had they used old school cameras, I think it would have looked cool. You know, you know, when they're on you know, when they're in the jungle or when they're on top of the, you know, the pyramid thing with the obelisk in Akator, that's the same thing that they did when they were trying to dig up, the top of the Well of Souls in Raiders. It's on a soundstage. It's just, but the one in Raiders looks like they're outside in the dark and stuff, whereas the newer one.
But you also had paintings in the background as opposed to blue screens or green screens that they're going to, fill in later with CGI. They're like, this was the painting in the background with Sala singing, all that stuff. Where the digital also kind of takes away from the set as well. So it's not just the digital cameras, it's also the background. So when they're digging in the Well of Souls, that nighttime shot that's absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah.
You got a painting. Actually, you had a real sunset behind the one shot, and then the other shot when it's closer up, you got that painting in the background. It's just absolutely beautiful. And like matte paintings versus CGI matte paintings all the way, always.
I don't know. Again, I God, that's hard because I really want I can't say that because I really wonder if it's the quality of the actual film, because it just I mean if like the matte paintings, when you look at them again, like I'll use the Star Wars example, when you look at those things, for example, in Return of the Jedi, when Han and Lando are standing in front of the Falcon, is like, like in the original, you don't really notice it, but then, when you get it all cleaned up, you're like, oh man, that's a painting. Like, and
then I mean? There's that extra 2 seconds of Billy D. Williams, like standing, like, what do I do next?
Yeah.
It's just like, they could have trimmed 2 seconds of that move right there. Like,
yeah.
Looking at this shit. Yeah.
So yeah, I think that those, all right. Oh, Torres, what's up, man? Good to see you, bro. My good buddy Torres, our band security, he says it's the film. So yeah, Torres, that's what I'm thinking, man. It's like I just think the difference between actual like whatever millimeter film and digital is digital just brings out the imperfections. And again, I mean, they're doing the same things now, but I mean, it just looks better because you've got all these, another decade plus of experience doing this stuff. I mean, just look at the trailer for Dial of Destiny. I mean, you can see it right there. That looks more like Raiders of the Lost Ark. And yet the filming techniques are all the same, from everything that I've read about it. And, so I don't know, man. But I am with you about the set thing. Like, I mean, you couldn't have gone out in the jungle and done something. Like, there's got to be a jungle somewhere that you can. I mean, for Christ's sakes, he shot Schindler's List at Auschwitz. If you can get into Auschwitz and recreate, the Holocaust, you could find a jungle somewhere to go blow shit up. So
okay, you just kind of went dark there, but
I'm not wrong.
No, you're not. I get what you're saying. It's just I never expected Schindler's List talk on this show, but hey,
I'm watching a Spielberg documentary in the middle of it, so it's fresh on my mind. But yeah, I don't know. Like, see, to me, George Lucas worked on this with Steven Spielberg, and that by this time they had heard all the criticisms of the prequels, and so they're like, all right, we're not going to do what we did with the prequels because they had to have this stuff look better because they knew that people would crap on it otherwise. And it does have that different look though, doesn't it?
It does.
I mean, did you notice that right away like I did?
I mean, we're going back 15 years, so I honestly can't recall that. I don't recall that.
I did. It was like right when he gets thrown out of the car. And that scene right there outside the car, like immediately in the beginning, I was like, okay, this looks different. And it just kind of stays there. But again, I think it's because it's so clean, whereas the others just feel really gritty.
Fair. That's a good assessment.
And I think the other thing is like, and I'm kind of glad that I stumbled across this Steven Spielberg documentary when I did. But it talks about in the beginning how he likes really bright, vivid colors and whatnot. And this movie is way more colorful than the other three.
True.
And I think that's a little jarring as well. And they try to say, oh well, the original movies were really colorful too. I'm like, what? Tan, then brown, then dark brown? Like, I mean, it's they're trying to say, oh, there's red and orange in Temple of Doom. Like, yeah, but surrounded with black and brown. Like, it's not that. I mean, when you think of those films, you think of those colors like brown and dirt and shit. And like when you think of Crystal Skull, I think of green.
Yeah,
like bright
it's
green.
a very, very green movie.
Yeah.
Very.
And so I just think it has such a different look, and I think that's what kind of took people out of it. I mean, what do you think about that?
I don't know if it's the look as much as it just like, and I know you know this with the Star Wars movies too. Like people just can't get the hell out of their own head canon. So it's like they go into it expecting something.
Yes.
And when it's not what they expect it to be, well, then it can't possibly be good because it's not what my ego told me it should be. And people really need to get the hell out of their heads. And if you're going to go and see something, how about enjoy it or hate it for what it is, not what you projected it should be. And that's a big problem that's been going on for probably since that movie, maybe a little bit before, because I know there were people that hated the end of Revenge of the Sith, rightfully so. Just for the one word, I know it's one of your favorites, so I'll go easy. Don't get mad. That's your absolute favorite Star Wars movie.
Oh yeah.
No, you're so wrong. No, it's not. It's Rogue One.
No,
or it's Empire Strikes Back.
No, Empire and Rogue One are 2 and 3. We did our ranking episode. Number 1 was Revenge of the Sith. Number 2 was Empire.
I listened to it.
Yeah. Nope, that's my favorite.
That's your favorite. But that's 3. And Empire's 2, technically. And Rogue One, right in the title.
Right. Exactly.
Why can't you go that way? All right, so anyway, so the no at the end, it's stupid. The whole Frankenstein thing is kind of like, but anyway, so people, my point is people pissed all over that, right? Like,
yeah.
But Anakin had been set up to be this whiny little crybaby. Now he's just in the Darth Vader outfit, being a whiny crybaby, just with James Earl Jones' voice.
Yeah.
As opposed, but people like started doing this hate watching thing, like, oh, it's gonna be crap. Let me watch it. Crap all over. Like, why? Don't people have anything to do with their time that's like a little more productive or enjoyable than like hate watching something so they can tell people how much they hated what they watched? When people tell me that they hate watch, like say Revenge of the Sith or Crystal Skull, I'm like, but all right, did you do anything productive today, or did you need to just piss on somebody else's parade because you don't like it?
Yeah. I that's a very good point, the headcanon thing, because I think it's almost like the prequels, and I think Crystal Skull kind of suffers from what I think like Episode 1 kind of suffered with it, and the prequels in general, where people, the original trilogy is so built up and so legendary in people's minds that it's just like nothing can get close to this. And so when they go in there and it's not Raiders and it's not Temple of Doom, and it's like they get all pissed off. It's like, well, what did you expect? Like, you can't. It's not going to be that way, dude. Like, you can't compete with that. And, there are very few Top Gun Mavericks in this world, okay? That is a rule. Top Gun Maverick, a movie like that is almost impossible to create, and almost none of them exist. So it's invariably not going to be what you have this franchise built up to be in your mind, because you just basically want that part too. And it's going to be a different story. Times change. And I just, I'm hoping that as time goes on, people will soften up to it the way they did with the prequels, because I just think the movie is like criminally underrated. It's like, it has all the hallmarks of an Indiana Jones movie. Like, I mean, my question is always, what the hell are you going to an Indiana Jones movie for? Like, we just talked about the fridge. Like, oh, that's so fake. Like, the whole goddamn thing is fake. Like, what are you talking about? It's fake. So, I mean, like, if you're going to an Indiana Jones movie, don't you just want to see Indiana Jones just kicking ass and doing all these crazy things? And
yes.
Like, yeah, I mean, and that's what you got. I mean, is the Mutt character weird? Sure. Whatever. You're seeing Nazis, you get Russians this time, I guess, if you want to say that's weird. I mean, it's a little different, but you get all the hallmarks of Indiana Jones. And I mean, it's, I'm really wondering what this movie is going to do to the box office and the appeal of Dial of Destiny, because I wonder if there's gonna be people that are like, okay, I want to see if the people that don't like Crystal Skull are like, well, I'm definitely going because I love Indiana Jones. I want to see if they got it right this time. But I wonder if there is going to be that group of dickheads that there were for Solo, who are like, I don't like The Last Jedi, so I'm not going to see Solo.
How stupid was that,
dude? I can't tell you how many of my friends that didn't like The Last Jedi were like, no, I'm not going to see Solo, man. Fuck that. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it, man. Screw them. They screwed Star Wars. I'm not watching it. And now they're like, dude, Solo's an awesome movie. I can't believe I didn't get to see it in theaters. I'm like, well, because you were a dildo. Like you were a complete that's the dumbest reason to not see a movie. Like the previous one pissed me off, so I refused to see the next one. Why? They're not even in the same damn timeline. It's not a Skywalker saga movie, you nitwit. Like it's a whole different thing.
Because modern day people are like, they're kind of like critics. Like if you think of it like this, like take any actor or director who is a critical darling, their next movie that's bad, because it's bad, no matter what comes next, is still going to be like, oh, and the latest from, I was going to use Adam Sandler, but that's too easy. But like,
yeah.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, so like, oh, this movie was bad, so the next one just has to be bad automatically. And that's such a stupid, ignorant way of thinking. And I say stupid and ignorant because if you think ignorant means stupid, you're definitely both. But it's this way of I mean, I get angry at ignorance and stupidity. It just pisses me off. It's a lazy, dumb thing. It's a very closed-minded thing. It's kind of like if I said to you, "Hey, man, let's talk about Pink Floyd for an hour. I need you to listen to 5 Pink Floyd albums." You won't do it. Why? Because you hate Pink Floyd because you're closed-minded, right? So it's because you listen to a bad Pink Floyd album. So anything after that's going to be crap, right? So now put that into movie perspective, where like, oh, Crystal Skull sucks, so Dial of Destiny. Oh, isn't that the Tenacious D movie? Like that kind of moronic thinking.
Right.
Although I kind of hope that there's a cameo. Just that little inside joke because the title is kind of but it's an Indiana Jones movie. And here's the thing, man, and you've heard me say this a couple times. An Indiana Jones movie is an Indiana Jones movie. There's no series like it. They're based off these 50s B movies, these serials, and a bunch of stuff that was like low budget, just popcorn fun. So anybody taking an Indiana Jones movie seriously, just smoke a doob and relax. It's just a movie.
Smoke a tube.
Or not. Yeah. You don't have to. I'm not saying, oh, hey, the only way to relax is smoking dubs, John.
Yeah. No, it's just funny. Like that's AJ and I don't smoke, so it's like that's a very rarely heard reference on the show. So,
I don't smoke or consume edibles either, but I used to. And you know what it did, John? It relaxed the shit out of me. So
it puts me to sleep. So I'd miss the movie.
Oh, dude, you got to put on headphones and listen to like your favorite Dream Theater song, like Ministry of Lost Souls. Or
there's the troll.
There you go. Of course.
Oh my god!
Always one per episode. Revenge of the shit.
Nice.
So, but my point being again is that like stop taking an Indiana Jones movie so seriously. It's this guy who never loses his hat except for one moment in every movie, and it just look at the stupid shit that he does, and his hat never falls off, rolling off of a tank. Like, come on, it's an Indiana Jones movie. Suspend disbelief. Suspend disbelief the second you see the name Harrison Ford, Indy's back, blah, blah, blah. My favorite thing about Harrison Ford announcing that he was playing Han Solo again, I knew that the contract would be like, yeah, we got another Indy movie.
Right? Yeah, I do. I love that you mentioned the hat because that's one of my favorite things. Like, they had in this one, it was like the anthill. And then at the end, like it's like we had all heard the rumors that Mutt's gonna take over and the series is gonna go on with him as the Indiana Jones character. Like, so as he goes to put the hat on, you're like, oh my god, they're gonna do it. Like, nope. Indy's like, nope, I'm not done.
That ending is awesome.
Yeah, that was phenomenal. And even shit like when he goes off the cliff in the tank in Last Crusade, and he comes up there without the hat, and all of a sudden it just comes back into picture for no reason. Like, that's awesome. Like, that's it. Indiana Jones is not supposed to make sense. It's supposed to be awesome. And Crystal Skull is awesome.
Yes.
So where do you stand on the choice of aliens as like the,
I have zero problem with it. I have a problem with people that have a problem with that, but God saving the day at the 11th hour is totally okay. That's what? Like, these are both, all right. To some people, these are both fictional beings. To some people, these are both real things. So if God can be real in this universe, so can aliens.
Yeah. I keep trying to think of what else they could have used. I mean, because, obviously they said they did that because they're in the 50s and that was all the rage, like Area
Yeah.
51 and all that kind of stuff. And I'm thinking, well, yeah, but was the Holy Grail all the rage in like 1944 or whenever Last Crusade was set? Was the Ark of the Covenant all the rage in 1941? Like, the Shankara stones in 1938 or whatever when that one's set, like Temple of Doom. Like, so I'm wondering if
I'll let you
maybe-
know when I get the Dial of Destiny. I can travel back in time, and I can
Yeah.
let you know if the Ark of the Covenant was all the rage in 1941.
Right. Yeah, I wonder if that's because I know a lot of people, that's their gripe too, is the whole alien thing, like, oh, that's so stupid. And I mean, it's a little hokey, I suppose, but I don't see how it's any more hokey than like the Holy Grail. I mean, you've got just as much evidence of both of them, you know what I mean? Like, so I mean, I don't see where that's an issue. And again, I think that's why I always fight for this movie, because that's going back to something we said earlier, like that's the main critique that I keep finding about this thing is like, people are like, oh, it's so fake, or that's such BS, man. Aliens, that's crap. It's like, oh, swinging with monkeys, or the floating car going down on the tree and just going in the water, and then the tree goes back up and slaps the Russians off the mountain. Like yeah, but I mean, it's Indiana Jones, for Christ's sakes. It's
See,
I mean,
and
what
you
do
even had to bring Christ into this one. There you go.
there you go.
So we've got religion in all four. But
Right.
there are people out there that pray to the sky. They pray to, like, if you go the Close Encounters route, I know that's 20 years timeline-wise away from Crystal Skull's timeline, but
Mhm.
there were people there that were praying to, the aliens to come. If you watch the movie Contact or read the book, there are people that were praying for the aliens to come, praying to the aliens as, oh, maybe the aliens are their gods. And,
Yeah.
look at Stargate. Aliens are gods. Ra is an alien from another dimension, and he built the Stargate. So what's wrong with that? I need an answer that makes sense in the Indiana Jones universe. Why aliens aren't okay, but a guy 5 minutes after his heart is ripped out and still beating can still be talking and feeling fear.
Yeah, I'm with you, dude. Again, the alien thing never I see, it's weird. Like, again, this is one of those movies I can understand people's complaints. I just don't agree with them, because it's like you said, like, I mean, you're supposed to have fun, like drop the headcan and just go in there. Like, it's all about Indiana Jones kicking ass. Like, there's not really a story. It's just Indiana Jones is going to go find this thing, and all these crazy things happen to him along the way. Like, you're not here looking for character development or these crazy, like, deep morality messages and things like that. It's no, dude, like, you want to see a dude with a whip going and finding an artifact. Like, it's, I mean, what
Pretty much just summed it up like that, dude. It's true.
Yeah, I mean, it really is. It's like, like when I saw when I was at Star Wars Celebration this year, and John Williams came out for the opening panel to close it. I played some music, and he says, oh, there, he played a bunch of Star Wars stuff. Obviously, we're at Celebration, and then he says, well, here's, I'm going to play one more piece of music, and this is not Star Wars, but hopefully you guys will know what it is. And he's like, dun, 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 dun. I was like, oh my god, and then the picture comes up on the screen that's still, of Indiana Jones, like it says 5. I was like, I lost my shit. I was like, oh my god. And then Harrison Ford walked out, and I was like, I'm getting goosebumps right now just thinking about it. And I immediately went, fuck yeah, I'm getting another Indiana Jones movie. Like, like, it's like, that's my reaction. And when I go to the theater on June 30th, I'm already geeked up. Like, it's 5 months out, and I can't sit still because I'm going, I get to see Indiana Jones, dude. Like, I mean, I don't understand the nitpicking, because it's like all the reasons why you love Indiana Jones are in this movie. And it's like, I mean, do you think people really grow up that much to where all of a sudden, like, Raiders of the Lost Ark came out when I was 5 years old, and I saw that movie I think it was 17 times in the theater. I made my dad take me over and over and over again. And I've never lost that innocence that every time Indiana Jones comes on the screen, I'm that little kid going, okay, like, in my mind, Han Solo is 1A cool and 1B cool is Indiana Jones.
Reverse
And-
that for me.
Okay.
Yeah,
Nothing
but
wrong with that.
But no, but like I'm with you, man. For me though, it was Star Wars. Back when
Okay.
it was only called Star Wars, and people
Yeah.
would be like, "Oh, it's Star Wars, New Hope." No, we called it Star Wars when I was a kid.
Right.
I must have seen that probably like 9 or 10 times in the theater. I was young, but I remember seeing that movie a lot. But then I remember when Raiders of the Lost Ark first came out, and it was rated R. And I wasn't
Was it
allowed
really?
to-
I don't
yeah,
remember
yeah.
that.
I remember newspaper clippings, and actually, the soundtrack I think also has the R rating on the because it's the poster on the soundtrack, the original 1981 vinyl, I believe it. Yeah, but I remember when it was originally rated R, and I wasn't allowed to see it, and then they changed it to PG like not very long after it came out. You can fact check me all you want. I'm just gonna say.
Well, I'm not. I'm just trying to see if there's like something that'll actually show the rating. Like, I did not know that.
Yeah. So, but it was still like just seeing the poster as a little kid. I'm like, that looks like a fun movie that I want to see. So I'm with you, like kind of like this, man. So we were all kids for Star Wars, right? It's a kids thing,
Mhm.
right? So, but we grow up and we're adults and we get this grown up, mature thing called Rogue One and Andor, and those are for those of us that grew up. Indiana Jones doesn't have to do that. Indiana Jones, like you said, has to show up, fedora, leather jacket, beige pants, bullwhip, find the artifact, beat up bad guys.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. Our good buddy Joseph Wren says, "Do you get to see Indiana Jones, or is it a cartoon with a huge budget?" All seriousness, it's not perfect, but I don't think Crystal Skull is a terrible movie. Yeah, I mean that's not a bad way to describe it. I mean, it's if you're going to talk about an Indiana Jones movie with flaws, this would be the one, I think. But who cares? Like, back to our point, it's an Indiana Jones movie. It's, I just.
Last Crusade is also flawed.
All right, then I'll say amount of flaws.
Okay. Well, I mean, think about this. Raiders of the Lost Ark sets you up with the Nazis as the villain. And in Raiders of the Lost Ark, the Nazis are no nonsense. They're kind of scary characters, as they should be. They're Nazis. Fast forward 8 years to Last Crusade, and they're doing Lucille Ball pratfalls, and they're kind of like they're not like, why is this like head Nazi guy going onto a blimp all by himself? And after he gets thrown out of a window, why is this blimp not getting stormed with Nazis to find the guy that threw their leader out a fucking window? So like there's flaws like that where the Nazis aren't as intimidating as they are in Raiders. They're more like there for comic relief to be the bad guys. So there's that flaw, but you never hear anybody pick that apart.
Well, that's because it's 3 years later in the war, and Germany was almost out of it, so they were down to like the bottom of the barrel soldiers. That's what I'll just use. Historical context. I'll go with the historical context
I'll
to wipe that one away.
Sure, whatever.
Yeah. But no, I mean, no, you're not wrong. I mean, you're not wrong. I just think that Crystal Skull would be the one that has the most you could pick at. I would say. I mean, you used the perfect word for Raiders right at the beginning of the show. You said it's a perfect movie. I completely agree. That's the way I describe it all the time. To me, that movie is a perfect movie. And
think about this too. That movie could have been like maybe an hour long of the Nazis finding the Ark, taking to the island, opening it up, dying no matter what, right?
Yeah.
But no, Indiana Jones had to like butt his nose into somebody else's business, gave us a 2-hour long movie that's a lot of fun. Instead of a bunch of like gray suited assholes like, oh, we'll take over the world with this. Like, and
yeah. No, I'm with you, dude. But like I come back to like what I was asking before, like, do people really grow up that much to where they go to see a movie of something they loved as a kid and start nitpicking the crap out of it? I mean, I get it. If you go back and a movie's bad, like, for example, like, if when you were a kid, if you liked the Masters of the Universe movie, you're like, this is cool. You go back and watch it now and you're like, oh boy, that's a rough watch,
is that you or is that me? Because me, I'm like, let's go.
I was never a fan of it because I didn't think that it looked or felt like He-Man, like the cartoon that I was used to. So I was like, and that the little troll guy, I was like, who the F is this?
Billy
I thought,
Barty?
yeah, I was like, what character is this? Like, what is this? Like,
Dude, Gwildor's awesome, man.
oh, no.
I was going to share.
Oh,
All right, but I also know. All right, so when I'm watching something like Masters of the Universe, even as a kid, I knew that this is not a good movie, but it's a good movie because it's not a good movie. It's fun. It's stupid. It's nothing at all like He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. But I got what I got with that movie.
I think that one strays a little too far. You know, I didn't get any Battle Cat. Like, I was not happy about that.
Fair. Well, see, because you had expectations. We just talked about headcanon not that long ago, John.
But wait a minute, that's not headcanon. That's like one of the main characters.
You know, I know.
You know,
they didn't have a budget for Orko. There was no Cringer. There was no Cringer becoming Battle Cat. I'm with you.
Yeah,
bro.
I mean,
I had problems.
I just and here's a problem that I've had with movies to this day. Like, Tila didn't look like Tila.
No,
and I was like, is it really that difficult to make her just look like Tila? Like, and I have a problem with that to this day. You know, like, I mean, like, perfect example, and it's not a race thing, but, you know, I'm a huge Stephen King guy, and I love The Dark Tower. I'm fascinated with The Dark Tower, and they made the gunslinger a black dude, and I was like, oh man, like, what the hell? He's supposed to be an old grizzled like cowboy, like white dude, and when you make him a black guy, you take away you take out a whole entire main character. And like a whole subtext of the entire series, and I was like, but when I try and explain that, people think, oh well, you just don't like because it's a black guy, not a white guy. Like, no, that's not who he is. Like, it's easy to keep it that way because it you know, it's for the story. And so, yeah.
How about when Kodo and Podo were still alive in Beastmaster 2? Did that bother you? Because Podo died in the Beastmaster, saving Dar from Mayak stabbing him in the back. I only say this because I saw Joe's comment.
I have. That's true. God damn you, Joe. Yes, John, people do that. Beastmaster 2 through the portal of time. It's not good, and I love it. What the hell is Beastmaster 2?
Wait, are you not aware of the Beastmaster?
I am not.
Oh my gosh! All right, so
Joe's on your side. He says, "Thank you, Sean. Details matter."
Of course they do. And when you brought up Masters of the Universe, I was either going to bring up the Beastmaster, which I still love, and I know like the first movie, it's great. It's everything. It was like the Barbarian movie I was allowed to see as a kid. My father took my brother and I to see Secret of Nim, and once that was over, he's like, guys, stay here. He goes to the box office, buys 3 tickets, comes down, sits next to us. He's like, all right, we're going to watch the next movie too. And it was The Beastmaster. So my first double feature ever was Nim and Beastmaster. And then years later, so I was going to bring up that, or I was going to bring up the Garbage Pail Kids movie to be a douche. But I mean, hey, we can do anything by working with each other, okay?
You know what, though? At least the Garbage Pail Kids movie, they look like the Garbage Pail Kids. They look like the Garbage Pail Kids, you know.
Fine, but like that song is like, the first like line of the song in the Garbage Pail Kids movie is them like talking about like, we don't want to do this, we don't want to work. Why do we got to work? We can't do anything by working with each other. What you just said 2 sentences ago, that you don't want to do this, but now you can because you can sing a chorus together. More on Garbage Pail Kids from whatever interdimensional dimension, space between spaces they came from. This guy Joe is awesome, by the way, because he knows that it is the end of Beastmaster 2 is him running in place against a sunset. But I think it was just him running in place. I don't think it was a backdrop. Oh, but dude, come on, rock and roll.
Oh my God, I can't wait to watch that.
You know, it's not available anywhere to stream or on DVD. I've got a VHS copy. I can probably mail to you if you've got a working VCR.
I wish I did, but I do not. I've actually got VHS here that I can't watch, so I might have to buy one.
Well, there you go.
So
anyway,
you just mentioned like interdimensional beings, which is a good segue because another question I was going to ask you. Fine with aliens, but do you think they should have just kept it at aliens instead of going, oh no, it's different than that, they're interdimensional? That one to me was like, all right, come on, like, can we not jump the shark? Just leave it at aliens.
Hasn't John Hurt had enough bullshit with aliens? Leave the guy alone. Let him have his interdimensional beings. He's done the alien thing twice already. Okay. True.
I was not a fan of that plot twist. It's not really a big twist. I just think keep it as aliens and let's move on. I don't know. I wasn't a fan of that. And the other thing I wasn't a fan of was the character of Mac. That was a little like hammy to me, I suppose. And
he's the old war buddy sidekick. And I mean, he has to, granted, this movie, he's got 2 sidekicks, 3 if you want to count Marion, because it's nice to see Marion still has like that gusto that she had.
Oh, that was awesome.
And, so watching Marion also get involved was great. But like he's got Mutt, but he's also got Mac. But Mac being a triple agent, which by the way, you just recently discovered Rush. You should check out their song "Double Agent." It's about a triple agent.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean the Mac thing. It's not that it's bad. It's just I always hear the Beaver from Chronicles of Narnia when he speaks, no matter what I see him in now. even in Black Widow with that bad accent of his, I was just like, oh my god, dude.
Yeah, that's right.
You're the guy from Narnia. Like, chill out, bro.
And then there's me and Black Widow. I was like, oh, it's Mac from Indiana Jones. Look at that. He really is a double agent. Look at that.
Oh my god, dude. I can't believe I didn't think of that until you just said that. Holy shit. So wait, no, he's a quadruple agent. So that's what happened. He says, I'm going to be all right, Indy. And he gets sucked away into the other dimension. Where does he end up? The MCU.
The multiverse.
Yes.
Nailed it. We just figured it out. We just figured it out. Wow. See, we don't just bring opinions to the table here on the Nerf Herder Council. We educate. And we posit things that are very plausible. So, for example, space whales being complete and utterly fucking stupid. But that's
unless they're on Pandora?
That's a whole different thing.
Okay,
whole different thing. Because
that's
wonderful. When you talk
space whales, are you talking Thor: Love and Thunder?
I haven't seen that yet.
Okay, so you're talking of Rebels.
Yes, that is the worst shit I've ever seen. So, but before I get all worked up on that, yeah, I mean, I don't know, like Crystal Skull, like back to the original discussion, like I've just never understood the hate. Like I for all the reasons that we've talked about, I think it's not a bad Indiana Jones movie. That's the thing that gets me. Like, you could technically make a shitty Indiana Jones movie.
No, you can't.
But you could. I mean, it could be so outlandish. Like, case in point, like, let's say you're a fan of the Friday the 13th series, like Jason X. Seriously, like, no one's gonna sit there. I love Jason. And go, I love that movie. Like,
that movie is like the one that you watch because, like, I've only seen it once, and it was recently because somebody's like, Sean, you love bad movies. How have you missed this? And the homage to Part 7 was incredible with the sleeping bag in the tree. Loved it. Other than that, it's a stupid movie.
But I don't think, if you're gonna say it's possible to make a crappy Indiana Jones movie, this would not be it. It's jarring at first, I think, because, again, to me, it did look different. I'm like, well, this looks different. But then I completely forgot about it because you're just on an adventure with Indiana Jones. Like, it's got some cool flashbacks, the Marcus Brody statue and stuff like that. Like, that was cool. And, he mentions his dad and he's got the picture there and everything. And, it's got the humor and stuff like that. I think, I would say the only complaint that I could get on board with people is I think they went a little too hammy in spots. Like the humor and everything in the other movies was more subtle, I think. But, you get some silly. I mean, the humor between Sean Connery and Harrison Ford in Last Crusade was very direct. I get that. But in this one, it's kind of, it's not as smooth, I would say.
I can see what you're saying, but there's some moments where it really is. Like, I think Harrison Ford is phenomenal in it. Like, he put on that hat like it was an old pair of hat. I guess you could say it was old hat to him. But,
well played.
But there were like facial tics that he made, or even like that whole scene with the snake and he's like, no. What was it? Quicksand.
Yeah.
And he starts describing
quicksand is a mixture of water, mud, and sand. And
it's not as dangerous as people would have you think.
Depending. His voice drops like he's in class. Like,
it's so good. So little things like that work. Like call it a rope. Okay, fine, whatever. That's I can that. How about like 3 times it drops? So they drop the first time, and he's in the back of the boat, like it. Sorry, twice, and he start counting out how many times it drops. It's just this subtle little thing that like Indy would do. It's not as good as like the mirror smashing him in the face, or like. First of all, there's nothing as annoying in this movie as Willie Scott. So as much as people want to hate on this, 2 words: Willie Scott.
Oh, that's a tough one. Yeah. All right. I mean, I never thought Willie Scott was annoying. I mean, it's constant screaming, but to me, I just like that's what she was a total like, socialite.
Damsel in distress.
Yeah, so she's a total socialite thrown into a pit of hell. Like, I mean, what's going to happen? So, but you are right. You are right, because if people mention somebody an annoying character, that's the one that always comes up.
Yeah, that or Mutt.
I didn't even think Mutt was that bad. I think, again, I just think certain things were jarring, and I think as long as you get on board with the fact that it is different, it's set at a different time, I don't see anything wrong with this movie. I mean, if they're back in the 40s again, you're not going to have a character like Mutt. That's kind of stupid, but I mean, it's not. It's set in the 50s. It's after World War II, and that was what kids looked like. You had the jocks and the greasers, like in the cafe, with that fight. And
that entire cafe scene is great because there's that whole background thing of the beer bottle happening.
Yeah,
which is amazing. It's just so well done. It's subtle, and that's like old school Indiana Jones humor.
Yep, and again, that's what you go to the movie to see. So it's like I just don't understand. Like, how do people just forget what the hell they're there for? I mean,
because it's about them, not the movie anymore. It's about like, well, I grew up on this, and it's blah, 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 blah. Shut up. You didn't grow up if you're going to go to a movie to be like, it's not what I wanted.
Yeah. Oh man, it's my good buddy Sherrick. Hey Sherrick, what's up, man? He says, hey fellas, definitely had to check this one out. Yeah, I know Sherrick is a big indie guy too, so he's guest hosted with us a couple times. Yeah, how jaded do you have to be to go in there and start nitpicking Indiana Jones? It's like, I mean, to me, it's like nitpicking a Star Wars movie or something like that. It's like, can't you just have fun with it? That's the whole point.
There is until episode 9.
Even that's a fun movie, dude.
Is it?
Like, yeah. Oh yeah.
I've seen it like 3 or 4 times, and I'm waiting to have fun.
Oh, dude, that movie's a blast.
Okay.
It's not great.
What's cool? What's cool though? Like, you like it? I don't, but we're not going to be like, oh, you're wrong.
Well, no, yeah.
It's a movie. That's cool. I love that you loved it.
But
you've got a Star Wars podcast.
Right. By the way, Joe's with you. Indy, shut up. That by the way, Crystal Skull, that was one of my favorite lines when they're arguing in the truck, and the Russian guy goes, "For love of God, shut the hell up." That's so good. Oh, for the love of God. That was
cool.
So
we got to
awesome.
talk about a couple of the Russian actors, or a couple of the actors that played Russians. There's the one guy who was on Deadwood. I don't know if you ever watched Deadwood.
I have not.
And he was also in Die Hard 5, playing the Russian cab driver that starts singing New York to John McClane.
Was Die Hard 5 the one with like the digital thing? Like,
no, that's 4. That's what Timothy Olyphant.
Okay, and so the 5th one's with his kid or something? Like,
yeah, Jai Courtney, who's got like the greatest agent in Hollywood, apparently.
What was that called? Die Hard, Live Free or something?
A Good Day to Die Hard.
Okay.
Because all the unanswered questions from the first 4 movies just, were lingering there. We needed that 5th movie.
Right. Oh my God. Almost made me spit out my teeth.
But
nice.
there's a guy in the very beginning of the movie, speaking of Die Hard, funny enough, who runs across, like for 2 seconds you see him. He's credited as Russian soldier. He's the bad guy, and one of my favorite Die Hard ripoffs is Toy Soldiers, which is like Die Hard in a prep school. And like this guy who was like amazing in that movie as the villain is like this 2-second role. So there's like these little like character actors showing up, just like, hey, you want to be in an Indiana Jones movie for 3 seconds? Yes. You have to work on it for 4 days. Fine.
Yeah. Like, all right, I'm good.
Crystal Skull has a ton of Easter eggs in it too. I was noticing a bunch earlier when I was skimming through it.
Yeah. All right, Sherrick says, I knew John would love this movie because he's a Harrison Ford fanboy. Oh, wait, so am I. I was going to say, don't you call me out, Sherrick. I don't love it like I do the other three, but I like and enjoy it for what it is. I mean, isn't that basically like the whole crux of the conversation, Sean? I mean, like, is it on par with the other three? It's close, but I would say no. But it doesn't mean it's not awesome.
I think that they're, I mean, aside from Raiders just being a perfect movie, I think they're all on, like, if I want to watch an Indiana Jones movie and I don't want perfection, I've got 3 movies to choose from depending on my mood. And I can't really say that Crystal Skull is weaker than the other 3 movies. It's just, it's kind of its own thing where, like, hey, Harrison Ford's getting up there in age. Let's move the timeline up and let's do something that, like, make it an older guy, but still the same silly, fun shit that we've come to fall in love with since 1981.
Yeah. No, I mean, dude, he was still doing his own stunts for the most part for that movie.
God, climbing out of the car on the motorcycle is awesome.
Yeah. I'm when I found that out, I was like, holy shit, because the guy, he's like a few months older than my mom. And my mom turned 80 this year. So it's like we're going to get Harrison Ford in Dial of Destiny, like what age, like 77, 78, like, and obviously I think he flat out said he can't do his own stunts anymore, but even still, like, to get him doing anything is pretty incredible. So yeah, God, I mean, is it a perfect movie? No. I mean, is it a perfect Indiana Jones movie? No, but who the hell cares? It's
an Indiana Jones movie. Just give me that.
You just get cool bit after cool bit. Like, it starts right at the beginning. You get, like, the fight with the Russians, when they're running around the warehouse, and that goes right into the nuclear bomb, and then from there you get the school chase, and then from there it's pretty much your prototypical Indiana Jones thing. He's in the jungle or out in nature somewhere, and he's hunting around for an artifact.
Indie theme, map drawing, showing up lines going across. It's like, and like, what's really cool is the maps in this one had the whatchamacallit lines, like
the Nazca lines,
the Nazca lines,
yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's, dude. It turns into a standard thing, and it's, again, if you don't like the aliens, whatever. But it's, okay. So I did want to ask you about this. So aliens are the thing. Do you think they needed to show the alien?
I think that, like, it kind of was neat that they showed, like, what these crystal skulls could be, and like how it's like they were separated and how this, like, connects just one being. I thought that was pretty neat. Did they need to show it? No. Would it have been cool if it was one of the aliens from Close Encounters? Hell yeah. But right. Still making it its own thing. Because, like, you look at the end of AI. AI. Those are the Kaminoans. Yeah, Kaminoan. It's the Kaminoan that finds the kid. Like, I thought that was pretty cool. Like, a couple years later, when, like, we get to Camino, and it's the same aliens. So, like, maybe this alien's going to show up in some other kind of, like, Spielberg or Lucas project, if it hasn't already shown up in the sequel series.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's gonna be like how they keep throwing stuff in each other's movies. Like, Raiders had 3PO and R2.
3PO and R2 are also on the toy. Yeah. So the thing that covers the arc, they're on that toy as well.
Yep. And then George Lucas put the ET characters in the Senate.
Yeah.
In Star Wars, like, they just keep doing it. And R2 and 3PO are back in Crystal Skull and one of the bricks on the wall in the alien chamber.
Well, Crystal Skull has a huge Star Wars Easter egg in it.
Yeah. Well, why don't you tell us?
Well, do you know what it is? Or?
I do, but I'll let you tell it as the guest host.
No. I've got a bad feeling about this.
Well, of course.
Yes. Well, that's why. What were you going to say?
No, that's what I was going to say. I'm just saying, of course.
The first line of The Last Jedi is, "I've got a bad feeling about this." That's what BB-8 says.
Says who?
Says Rian Johnson. And since the guy wrote it, I can trust him.
All right. I'll gloss over that, because that to me is like one of those. It's like when the characters now have names from episode 4, like, years later, because people called them that. Like, oh well, this is like walrus guy. Like, okay,
No,
that
no,
was
no,
never said.
no.
Like,
That was the toys said that because there's
well,
a
I
whole
know,
scene in
but
ET when he's showing ET the toys, and he says Boba Fett, da 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 da, and he goes Hammerhead, Walrus Man, and Bill Hader. Bill Hader wasn't a Star Wars action figure; he was BB-8.
I love it. Oh my god! See, you would never be able to tell that. Kind of like I can never tell that it's Bradley Cooper voicing Rocket Raccoon. So,
That's
anyway.
Bradley Cooper.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding with you.
And I was gonna say, like, how do you not know that? All right. Well, we've been doing this for an hour, so let's close up shop here pretty soon. But my final thoughts on Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. It's got me super excited for Dial of Destiny, which, as if I needed to be excited anymore because it's an Indiana Jones movie. But I rewatched it twice in the last 2 days, and I love it. It's a fun movie. It's more Indiana Jones, and it's you get to see some different stuff, I think, which I thought was pretty cool. They kind of expanded the lore a little bit. There's some different things, and the dad jokes are kind of funny, and they kind of reprise Last Crusade. I just don't understand the hate for the movie. It's, is it Raiders? No. Is it Last Crusade? No. Is it Temple of Doom? No. But it's still damn good.
Yeah.
And I think if you took those movies out of the equation, you would have people probably really liking it, going, what the hell is this? Like, this is so crazy, but again, you do have those 3 movies before it. So I think it kind of suffers for that reason. And I don't think it should. I think that's a very unjust way to critique the movie. And I think it's a total blast. It's, you get exactly what you paid for. Indiana Jones, as we said many times during the show, running around, kicking ass. And that's all I go to the theater to see. When I go to see these movies, I just want to sit down and have a great time. Just, Indiana Jones is perfect for that, where you just sit down, you don't think about anything. You don't have to worry about some sort of deeper message. You don't have to worry about, social commentary. Like, no, it's just Indiana Jones looking for something, and a lot of great stuff's going to happen along the way. And that's what happens in the Crystal Skull, and I don't understand why people don't get on board with it. So that's my final thoughts. What are yours?
Pretty much everything you just said. You summed it up for me as well, especially the comparison thing. Like, people like to. Why do people need to compare? I don't understand. It's kind of like when Us came out and followed Get Out, and everybody was comparing them. Like, they're completely different kinds of movies. The Indiana Jones movies, for being similar, they're also completely different kinds of movies that do their thing. Like Raiders of the Lost Ark, perfect action flick. Temple of Doom, really, really dark, with a solid 1 hour of action at the end. The third one, light and fluffy, slapstick, but still a bit closer to Raiders than Temple of Doom. And then this fourth one is just CGI heaven old guy kicking ass, taking names with a whip. And like, when I finished the fourth movie tonight, I was breaking zipper for Dial of Destiny. I cannot wait for it.
Excellent term, breaking zipper. That's great. Well, that plays into our buddy Sherrick, and we'll have him close us out here. He says, all I have to hear is the theme song, and I'm in. I got childhood chills when I watched the trailer for Dial of Destiny. Yeah, that's good mood music, man. Like I'll just listen to that out of the blue just to get that, purposely give myself the goosebumps and be like, oh, God, remember Indiana Jones? Like, that's all you got to say.
Can I be a dick for 1 second? I don't mean to be, but I have to be. Not every piece of music is a song, and I'm not attacking you, Matthew, at all. I'm just saying, like, this is like, remember, like you said earlier, we're here to educate, right? So that's a theme, and that's all you leave it at. It's the Raiders March, actually, but it's not a song. I just want to throw that's all I wanted to do. I didn't want to attack anybody.
That's how you close the show? By poking at one of my buddies?
I'm not poking.
With the terminology? That's what you do.
Because it's the Dial of Destiny.
Nice. Oh my God, that's awesome. Well, on that note, guys, we're gonna close up shop. Sean, thank you very much for coming on short notice, man. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for inviting me.
This was a total blast. Man, hopefully we get to do it again. We'll definitely have you on. God, okay, of course. Joe, you always ask questions at the end of the show.
God damn it! No, no.
Yeah. Answer the question. Can someone else play Indiana Jones? Do we need CGI Harrison Ford, or can someone else take the reins? No. No.
And they tried it. They had 3 seasons of a TV show. Nobody watched it.
Yeah.
They even had to get Harrison Ford to play Indiana Jones for an episode to get people to watch. So no. The answer is no.
Can't
No.
happen, Joe. So
No.
So anyways, guys, thanks for listening to or watching another episode of the Nerf Herder Council. We are right here every other Wednesday at 8:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. YouTube and Facebook. You can check out video replays of the show on our YouTube channel. You can download the audio version wherever you get your podcasts. Don't forget, we are brought to you by Audible. Go to audibletrial.com/NHC for your 30-day trial and a free audiobook download. My current recommendation is the Steve Lukather autobiography, The Gospel According to Luke. I am loving it, so that's a good choice. Go get yourself some customizable Nerf Herder Council swag at shop.nerfherdercouncil.com. We will be right back here in 2 weeks. AJ will be back from gallivanting across Europe on Wednesday, February 15th at 8:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So, Sean, once again, thank you very much, man. I will talk to you real soon. We'll definitely have you back on. And for the rest of you guys, I am your host, JT at Dog Pound Jedi.